This time I got a Sharp Viewcam in for service. Actually, this one here, the customer that owns this one brought me their tapes because the camera is not working. It won't play back. So we're going to take a look at this camera and see if we can get it going. And then I guess he'll decide whether he wants to fix it or whether he wants to leave it behind. Kind of hoping he leaves it behind so I can sell it. Anyway, let's take a look at what I got. This time I have a Sharp camera. This is one of these silly Viewcams. This is a hi-fi monaural. There's no stereo on this one. VLE37. It's not a high 8, it's just a regular 8mm. And well, these were silly ones because you could turn the, if you wanted to film yourself, you could turn it around. I think it actually inverted the picture. Or no, maybe it didn't. You had to hold the camera up this way. That's right. When you turned it upside down so that your picture was the right way up, you held it this way. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, because I don't think it was smart enough to invert the picture. If you held it this way, you'd have your hand in the way of the lens anyway. But anyway, you could do your own video. It had a camera that could swivel. That was big thing. Sharp was always, oh, we got these cameras. You can hold it above your head. You can hold it above your head like this. You can hold it down low. You didn't have an eyepiece, so you just had this silly screen. And I never really paid much attention to Sharp, but some people bought them. This one here apparently has no picture on playback, and the heads have already been cleaned, and it didn't fix it. So therefore it's got a problem other than dirty heads. I've got the power adapter to go with it here. And I actually got the camera from a customer who, because the camera didn't work, brought me all of their tapes to transfer over to digital. So whether they're going to want this camera back or whether they're going to give me the camera at the end, I don't know. But they just asked me to take a look at it and see if I could figure out what was wrong with it. They probably want it back so they can sell it. But they're definitely not worth putting a lot of money into. But because it is an 8mm camera, it certainly has some value. So let's just try it and see if it plays. And all I see is snow on the screen. So there is a problem with it. We'll try running a head cleaning tape through it. I don't think that that's going to make any difference. I think the problem is probably internal. Could be a clogged head, but it also could be some other problems. Let me just go grab my head cleaning tape. We'll try that, even though the fellow that owns it said he tried his head cleaning tape and it made no difference. I'm going to try mine just to be sure. Still nothing but snow. So I'm not going to run the cleaning tape through anymore because it's hard on the heads when you do that repeatedly, but I don't think it's dirty heads. I think there's a problem inside. Maybe one of the edge connectors is bad, or it's come unplugged, or something, or it's come off the board. So I got to figure out how to take this camera apart. I've never opened up one of these cameras before. I would imagine that it starts out by just removing the screws on the bottom here. Take out the adapter. So I'll start by removing, I think the back comes off on this one as opposed to the front. So I'll remove some screws and we'll see whether I can get into this unit and see whether it's something that's going to be fixable. Okay, there's a screw here. There's a screw over here. Pretty sure these all have to come out. I might be wrong, but maybe not. Okay, that needs to come off. Well, there's some more screws in here. come off now? Nope. Probably got to take out the battery, lithium battery. However, this thing comes out. Seems like there's more screws that hold this thing together. Oh yeah, there's another screw up here, you can see. All right. Okay, something's holding this up. Does this come off? This piece has got to come out somehow. Is that a screw down inside here? Oh, there's another screw right down in this, inside here. Okay, let's remove that one. Okay, now, okay. All right, that comes off. All right. Now, how about the back? The back cover comes off. Excellent. That wasn't so bad. What do we got in here? We got a ribbon connector here. Got to be careful. Connects the buttons to the chassis, so we got to be careful not to break that. I'm just going to carefully disconnect it from the main board here. I hate these ribbon cables, you know. They are just asking to be damaged. It's got some ribbon cables that connect down on the main board down here as well. That socket almost feels like it's loose. Check this out. If I move this cable, it seems to move. I wonder if that's our problem. Let me see how I get down to that. These are the drive ICs, obviously, for the panel. I wonder how I get down there. I'm going to have to open this up more. Maybe fold out the LCD panel. I'll likely have to take out this board. There's a bunch of them down on this other side that may be where our fault is. So let me just try removing the LCD panel. For those wondering about the magnets in here, there's no more magnets in this pad. I took them out. I didn't show you. I actually filmed it on another video, but it got cut when I ripped it apart. Maybe I'll dig out the surgery to rip them out. They actually come out quite easy. There's like 4 of them. They are these ones right here. That's what they look like. There's 4 of them. And I just stuck them together. Stick them to the side of my amplifier to stick stuff to. Okay, this should lift off the panel. I got to be careful because there's the high voltage wires that go to the. There's a couple of ribbon cables here. There's the high voltage wires for the backlight, which are obviously these ones here because this is a fluorescent type backlight. And then there's another connector up top here. I'll undo this connector. Doesn't want to release. Now it did. The whole connector came apart. Wonderful. It's not what I wanted. I did not want the connector to pop right apart like that. Let's put it back together. Normally you just unhook it and slip the connector out. Okay, now I've got this other high voltage ribbon over here. I don't even know where it goes. Does it plug into something, or will it disconnect? It makes me nervous because it's just in the way. It's going to break if I'm not careful. I think that's what it's for, is the high voltage. Or is this the high voltage on these wires? Jeez. It's probably this one. Just with the separation that they've got on there, this is probably the one that carries the backlight power. And I just don't see how I'm going to get into here. I'd like to take this board out to look underneath here, but I might not be able to get there. I'd like to address the connectors on this other board down below here, because that's going to be where the video stuff is. I think that's the video board on this one. I've never gotten into one of these cameras before, and judging by how this one looks, I might not ever get into another one. Maybe I didn't have to remove this. I might be able to flip this whole board up without removing that panel, you know. I see a couple more screws here. That might let me flip. If I take out the screws on this bracket, that might let me lift this whole bracket out with the board on it. Possible. Just try plugging this thing back in. I'm just going to reattach this. I just don't want to damage that connector there, and it makes me nervous. Anytime I see these ribbon cables, I get nervous. How about you guys? You get nervous when you see ribbon cables? I know I sure do. I hate them. Flexible PCs, or FPCs is what they call them, and they are the Achilles heel of equipment because they're so easily damaged. You just have to breathe on them and they'll break. Speaking from experience there, yes, I have broken them. Of course, back when these were current, that wasn't really an issue because if you ripped one taking it apart, replaced it with a new one. Okay, that screw doesn't want to come out, it's stripped. Try a different screwdriver. Well, that didn't do anything. I was thinking that was going to remove this bracket, but I think that removes the camera section from the main board. Just the way it looks like these little slots, these little go in, or these little index key goes into the slot for when you put the camera on. That's kind of what that looks like. So I'm going to go back to the drawing board and plug this back in because I don't think I need this out. And I'll try to reseat those connectors below on the bottom board without ripping the camera apart, because I just don't want to open up a can of worms if I don't have to. I've opened up enough can of worms lately, and I would rather not if I don't have to. I should make sure that that screen works before I go any further, just in case I've buggered up the screen. And it says insert a cassette, so obviously the screen is working, which is good. These are the drive ICs that are on the tabs. You can see them here. Okay, close-up of that. So basically, and every LCD screen has these. They are mounted on these flexible tabs that are connected to the edge of the screen itself. So these tabs here, these ones drive the horizontal lines this way, and these ones drive the vertical columns. And you'll see very fine wires. The camera's not even going to pick up on it, but there are, for each row, there's a separate copper trace. There's only a couple that go in from the main board that feed the signal in from the timing controller. These plug into the T-Con, the timing controller, that controls the ICs which drive the panel. Alright, what I'm thinking is maybe one of these connectors down here is a bit loose, because when I was poking around on this wire here, it almost seems like it's not in tight. You can almost see it. Can you see it down here? This looks like this isn't all the way in. It's either it's loose, or I'm just going to try opening it up and see if I can push the clip in. Because that, I think, might be the head preamp that may have popped open or is not seated properly. So let's see if I can push it in here with something. Okay, I've seated that connector. I don't know how the other ones look, but that one certainly did look like it was loose. Now when I push down on this, does it still... I should have pushed on this while I had the tape in it before trying to reseat that down, because that might have been the problem. Is this one here. I've actually had these break off the board before too, right? But doesn't look like it's broken off the board. It just looked like it wasn't seated properly. Let's see whether I get a picture. Oh, I guess I can't play this until I put the back on, or at least plug it in, because the controls are on this back piece here. So let me just reconnect that and see whether I can turn it on and press play. Am I going to get a picture, or am I going to get snow? What I got there? I got a blank screen. Interesting, okay. Well, at least I don't have snow. I think this thing's gonna work. I got it to work. Woohoo, that's all it was. Interesting. So, I don't know whether maybe the camera got bumped or dropped or something. Oh, look, there's damage to the tape. I bet it was dropped. Okay, so problem solved. The problem was right here on this connector down here that the drum plugs into. It's on the lower board, and it was this one right down here. And I kind of thought maybe it might have been a loose connector. These edge connectors cause so much trouble on cameras. You don't know how many cameras I fixed by just opening them up, pulling the connector out, putting them back in. A lot of the Sony ones are friction fit. They don't have a gate on them. These ones all have a gate. And I think this gate had just worked its way loose a bit, because basically all I did was just push basically what I did was I just pushed that in and seated it down because it just looked like it was a bit loose. I pushed this in first. I pushed the wire in as far as I could and then pushed the gate closed. It didn't look like it was open. If it was only open by about 1 millimeter, but I think it was enough that it caused the signal to be lost from the heads. I'll just try my own tape that I can actually play because this isn't obviously my tape, so I can't really show that. This is one I don't think I've ever played this one. Right on Time. This was one that Sony did. It was a laser disc that was used in showrooms, and I recorded it onto an 8mm tape. I wonder if it still plays. It does. I wonder if this music will pull copyright. It shouldn't. It should be royalty free. Oh, I got a head switching point right in the middle of the screen here. That might have been on the recording. But I'll try my tape. Anyway, that one seems to play with that head switching line in the picture. I was just looking for my tape, and then I realized that it wasn't where I thought it was going to be. It was actually sitting right here on the bench. I went over to where I keep my tapes, and it wasn't there. And that's because it was here. That makes sense? I can show this one all day long, every day, because I shot this scenery. Just shipped out a tape today. One of my viewers asked for a copy of my Las Vegas neon signs and one of my aquarium videos as a demo tape for his Beta 1 SHB player that he's got. He's got an NTSC player in Australia, because of course Australia is PAL, right? But he bought a machine out of Japan. It's NTSC. So he wanted a tape so he can explore what the Beta 1 SHB speed looks like, because this machine will only record Beta 2 and Beta 3. It won't record Beta 1 SHB, but it'll play it back apparently. So I sent him a tape. So I'm at the post office mailing it. And they said, so how would you like to send it? Would you like to send it ground? By boat, I guess. Or air? And there was a difference in price. There was also a difference in delivery. I said, okay, what are the options? She said, well, if you send it by surface, it's 3 months to get there. I said, oh, let's ship it by air, because then it'll get there in probably 10 days, maybe 2 weeks. I don't know how long it takes for air to get to Australia. I'm sure it's not overnight, but it was like almost twice as expensive, but ship it by air. Anyway, I should have sent him this. I should have sent him this stuff, my scenery stuff. But I sent him my Vancouver aquarium video and both of the neon ones. So he's got something to play on his Beta 1 machine. Anyway, this thing's working. I'll do a test recording on it as well. And but I'm going to put the screws in first, and then I'll do a test recording. That kind of threw me for a few minutes to find that hidden screw. And there was one more up here, and that should have all the screws back in this one. And this one's ready to go back or get sold, depending on what the owner of it wants to do. As I was mentioning, he brought me all of his tapes to transfer over to digital for him. So I don't know whether he wants the camera back or not, but he wanted me to look at it. I guess when I tell him how much it's going to cost to fix it, he'll decide then whether he's going to just walk away from it or whether he's going to take it back. We'll just try a test recording on here. This is a high 8 tape. I don't think there's anything on here that's critical. I can record on this, and it'll obviously record in regular 8mm. We'll check that out. So this is what happens for those that didn't know, if you try to play a high 8 tape back on a non-high 8 machine,
as you can see, I can't hold the camera nearly as still as I can.
you volume is on the use the zoom control for the volume. If you try to play a high 8 tape back on a non-high 8 camera, this is what you get. If you try to play a Super VHS tape back on a regular VHS machine, you get that as well. Not quite as severe because the bandwidth wasn't as great on Super VHS as it was on high 8. And with the beta tape, the Beta 1 SHB, if you try to play a Beta 1 SHB tape back on a regular beta machine, you get exactly the same thing because it's a high band versus low band machine. So I'm going to turn this thing on and hit record. Record my DVD player that is not running. It's not on because we had a power failure. But that disc there, that's what was on the other tape. California and Oregon coast. That was what was recorded on that other tape that we were looking at. And this video is on my channel. You can watch it on my channel in 4K. Anyway, just make a recording here, zoom in. So I was playing around with this zoom on here, and you see it says auto. And what does auto zoom mean? Well, what auto zoom means is that like if you just zoom in on something and it's too close and the camera can't focus on it, I'm not touching it, it's zooming out on its own to the point where it focuses. Isn't that neat? Watch, I'll zoom in again. Okay, I'm way too close, it won't focus. I let go of it. It automatically zooms out to the focal point where it can focus. So, in other words, if I were to take this tape and bring it in front of the camera here, it's probably going to zoom out on its own. Well, I guess it could focus on that, but there, you see? If I go zoom in, can't focus, it zooms out. And now something gets in real close that it can't focus on, like that. And it says, oh, I can't focus on that, so it zooms out a bit more so that it can. That's kind of neat. I've never seen that before. Auto zoom. Interesting. Okay, let's play this back. It has locking, rewind, and fast forward. You don't have to hold your finger on the button, it just locks it there. I'll play this back and you guys can watch it. So the adapter plugs into the side here of the unit. You just clip it on like, I guess it clips on like this. And then you can plug in the AV outputs. I see some, is that interference from the plasma? I think that's interference from the plasma. If I bring it too close to the plasma, it'll probably get more interference. It looked like interference there, but maybe not. It's not very good for shaking. What happened there? Oh, the cord fell out. It'll do it every time. When I bump the camera, it's not very stable. Even just shake it a bit. Anyway, it's got sound.
Oh, look at that. Well, isn't that neat?
This is what you guys couldn't see when I was filming it.
I'll try that again. 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'll try to do this again when I'm framed up. So, I was talking about the DVD player. I wasn't even looking at my monitor. So that DVD player, that's got the disc in that was on the other tape that I just showed you.
Pretty soft recording.
Right, just a copy of that. So I was playing around with this.
You know, there's not a lot of detail.
It says auto. What does auto zoom mean? Well, what auto zoom means is
like, there's not a lot of detail on this picture. I'm surprised. I mean, it's 8mm, and I used to use high 8, which was so much better than standard 8mm, but it just doesn't seem to have a lot of detail. And it should look good on this monitor. I know there's a lot of light in here. I've got my studio light on behind me. It throws a ton of light this way. I don't use it that much, but it's on today. That's one of my studio lights. It's an HMI that throws a lot of light across the shop over my shoulder. Got the barn doors and everything on it, you see. And that thing is bright as anything. And you can see the shadow on the screen wash out the TV. TV is capable of a pretty good picture. It's not a high definition set. This is just a standard definition. It's a standard definition plasma. I'll kill the light and you'll see how much it's actually washing the screen out. Turn out some of the lights in here. That looks a lot better. But his old plasma is 20 years old, and say it has a pretty good picture. It's not high definition. It's just a standard def plasma, but it looks good. And I just use it in here for testing standard definition stuff, and as a monitor if I'm working on the other bench, so I can see what I'm doing. I'm curious if the battery that was in the package with the camera, I'm curious if that battery will hold a charge. Probably not. It's a nickel cadmium battery, and I'm sure that the battery is beyond any life, but I guess I can try it. But this one's done. Looks like it's leaking, so I doubt it's going to hold a charge. This one's done. Little sharp camera saved from the scrap heap, and that's, I'm sure, is where it would have gone if I hadn't looked at it, because, as I said, the guy had me transfer all of his tapes. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.